So really quickly here, Rabbit23GSO. What do you want in Breath of the Wild 2? Breath of the Wild ended as if there was going to be a follow-up in the DLC. They could be waiting to do a follow-up for a sequel instead of the DLC.
Right.
I don't know. Like, it left off as if you could fit that story. Like, oh, we're going to go check out this divine beast. That would be a good DLC story. Like a good few hours.
Yeah.
But basing a whole game starting off on that, I don't know. Unless, like, 2 starts and it's like, as soon as it begins, it takes place like 6 months after fixing whatever was wrong with the divine beasts. And now it's like, we're going to a new land. So I don't... I think the next big Zelda game, although we're going to have several Zelda games before that, is going to be literally like the Majora's Mask version of Breath of the Wild. Probably not go back to Termina, because Nintendo's never returned to a new area.
No.
Like, we've never went back to Termina, we've never went back to Lorule, which Lorule's new. But we never went back to the Dark World. We never went back to the Silent Realm from Skyward Sword that had the big scary guys that chased you.
Yikes.
We never went back to Koholint Island. We never went back to Holodrum or Lenarium. We never went back to the world of the Minish. Yeah, like none of the other worlds. We've never went back to any of them. So... But I do think, like, at the edge of Hyrule, like, especially towards the north, there was a completely new area that has, like, there's videos of people that, like, hacked the game to get there. And you can see, like, houses and stuff that were built. I guess that way if you zoom in from really far away, it doesn't look completely barren. But it's not fleshed out. I think in the second... If it is Breath of the Wild 2, it'll just be exploring like the neighboring land, which is going to be interesting. Because we don't know what that is. The neighboring land could be Termina. It could be any of these other areas. Or he could go to like another like Dream World-esque place. Yeah. So
yes.
I would love to see them explain it. Like, Link doesn't just go on another new adventure. Like in Majora's Mask, he leaves to go find something or find Navi and whatever. I hope it's like another land from like really far away comes and is like, we've heard tales of a hero from Hyrule. We need your help in our land. So a reason for Link to go there other than just getting lost.
Yeah.
But that's what I would like to see, and bring back
in the
traditional
Oracle games.
dungeons.
They kind of do it where
he's just kidnapped.
He's like, no, isn't he like he goes to touch the Triforce?
I thought
he's like called to the
goddesses
Triforce.
or the oracles just kidnap him.
Oh no, I thought it was like in the beginning he goes to Hyrule Castle, Triforce is there, and it kind of is calling out to him, and then he touches it, and it transports him to where he's needed to be. And that's what I'm pretty sure. Someone in the chat back me up here. I'm pretty sure that's.
I mean, that probably is. I just always had the idea that the oracles were just like, oh, we need the hero, so they like just warp him there, and he's like, what's going on?
Could be. I haven't played the Oracle games, but I'm pretty sure that that's how the way that they go.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. What else would you like to see?
In the next one is gloves.
Gloves.
You equip the gloves,
and then
they're
you
like
can dig.
Extra grip gloves, and then you
climb
during the rain.
Okay. No, like story-wise. Story-wise.
Okay, story-wise. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I want something not Ganon. I'd love to see a villain like Vati return, but that's not going to happen because that's Capcom's whole deal. But it would be cool to see like a new villain, and one that's not a cop-out villain like Twilight Princess, where it's kind of a new villain, but then it's actually Ganondorf all along. So not that. I think a good new villain, and in a different land that's not Hyrule. That's other than that, I have very open expectations. Like nothing really set in stone in my head. So,
all right, well, take us to our next question, Daniel. I want a Nintendo Labo fishing minigame tie-in.
As a tie?
Yeah. Be like, oh, it has a fishing minigame, but the only way to play it is to buy this $60 cardboard.
Of course. That's a good peripheral, right? Yes. Do we have any new questions? I'm going to check out the old Discord.
Alright, I'm actually going to post something in Discord saying we're going to take our final question from Discord.
Oh, sure.
So,
unless someone posts in the chat real fast a good question.
No, this will be a new one. So like we'll do the question you pick, and then we'll both decide on the very final question.
Okay.
Everyone, we are taking our final question. Whoever puts the best question in the Hylian Gamescast and tags us.
Yes. Do it. Or don't, if you don't want to, I guess. Yes. I think there was a question on one of the other videos, previous episode, that I wanted to do, but I should have saved it.
Oh yeah, I didn't check the questions on the last video.
I didn't, and now I don't know what that is that I was looking at before.
You don't know which video?
I don't remember. I'm terrible.
People in the chat says, yeah, a new villain would be amazing. Don't think we've had an overarching one since Spirit Tracks, unless you count Triforce Heroes. I don't count Triforce Heroes.
Not really, no.
Like Majora's Mask has the moon falling, all of Termin is getting destroyed, Hyrule's always being taken over by Ganondorf, but Triforce Heroes, the princess is cursed to wear an ugly outfit. Very, very...
Let's say low stakes.
Yeah. It's like, why don't you just take it off? Or like, put something on over it.
You can't.
You could put something on over it. Couldn't you? It's not like it's going to disappear.
I guess that's true. Yeah, it could be like your tights, like your long underwear. In the Discord, Xenotrigger asked, "What do you think will be at E3 for Nintendo?"
We answered that.
Rewind. We started. So rewind. Go back. We talked about it in detail.
Yeah, we had a full discussion on that.
Yeah,
on Nintendo's actual plans and what we think is going to happen. So our final question, take it from Champion of Morrowind, since he's always so nice. Unless you can find the question that you're looking for.
Champion of Morrowind. No, I can't. So,
okay.
I looked through like 6 videos. I didn't. So, do you think the Zelda series should have a darker tone, or should it remain with the more light-hearted tone? That is actually a good question. I enjoy both, to be honest. I liked... Like, Majora's Mask is one of my favorite Zelda games, and it had a very dark tone. Then my next favorite Zelda game, like, other than that, would be, like, Wind Waker, which doesn't very much have a dark tone. So, like, Twilight Princess, I think it was like, oh, it's so dark and edgy. But it was a little too, like, they're pushing too hard almost for that, and it didn't come out as authentic as it did in Majora's Mask.
Mm-hmm.
So... like, if they do it right, then absolutely I'm game for it. But
someone commented on the video, the theory that went up yesterday, with an article from when Twilight Princess first came out. That was an interview with Aonuma, and he said that they were going to have all of the same events that happened in Twilight Princess were always going to happen, but the world was going to be much smaller. But then they said that it didn't make sense for so much stuff to happen in such a small area. So they ended up making it the size that it is, and then they said that there's a lot of other stuff in there, but the two most important things that I seen was they said the the realistic art style pushed them to have the darker story. So it wasn't just like originally it was going to be as lighthearted as Wind Waker,
right?
But after the story came together, the original story came together with the art style, they said it didn't feel right. So they went with the darker story to match the overall art style.
Nice.
So,
but the thing with Wind Waker is the tone doesn't feel dark, but like the game has a lot of subtext that is very dark.
Yeah.
But it's all subtext. It
has the most violent ending.
It really does. And like Ganondorf as a character is the most interesting as he's ever been in Wind Waker, I think. Just as a compelling villain.
He actually gives a story.
Yes, and he his whole like attachment to Hyrule and the dungeon, like Ganon's Tower in Hyrule, is like a very dark tone. There's the Earth Temple is very dark as well. You know, not just because there's dead people everywhere, but also just like there's a lot of implications. The sages kind of come out like they were straight up. Actually, Xenotrigger, as I'm saying this in the chat, is coming up. Ganon straight up murders 2 sages in Wind Waker. So there's a lot of urgency as well, like with the King of Red Lions, like there's a lot. Also, the whole backstory being that like the kingdom was absolutely destroyed and flooded, like just as backstory for the game. Like it's very dark subtext, even though the overall tone feels very light. Breath of the Wild has some dark moments too that feel like the fact that everyone died 100 years ago, all your friends are dead. That's a pretty dark subtext as well. Yeah. So, done right, I really like the dark tones in Zelda. But when they're like, we have to make this dark, and it comes out like I like Twilight Princess is a good game, but if there were times where they were like, we have to make it dark, so it's going to be so dark.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel very authentic to me. So
here's what I'm saying. I want a more lighthearted game because I don't want Hyrule that's already destroyed.
Right.
Unless they do it like Termina or Majora's Mask, to where the dark tone's there but nothing's destroyed. In Twilight Princess, it forced you to go around in the Twilight Realm as Wolf Link, which got annoying after the first time. To where like you couldn't, like, I want to play as Link, not a wolf.
I didn't want to be a wolf.
So like every time you were in a dungeon, you're like, oh, I gotta change into a wolf, like the Arbiter's Grounds. It was annoying. But like I always look at it as it's just the one game, so it's not that bad. Like out of 35 years of games, it's okay if it's just the one game, or 30 years, whatever. So
30.
Yeah, I would like it to be a good mix of both, to where maybe it starts out everything is peaceful and stuff, but someone's trying to take over, and then it gets to a point, because there's always the big change in the Zelda games, like Ocarina of Time had you turn into an adult.
Mm-hmm. So there's some dark stuff in that game too.
Yeah, so that's what I would want, is similar to Ocarina of Time. Like in Twilight Princess, you gather all of the stuff, and then Zant comes when you're talking to Lineru and just like takes it from you or something.
Yeah,
after you
that's a good
already
moment.
Gathered it. Ocarina of Time has you gather the spiritual stones, and then Ganondorf just touches the Triforce before you. Skyward Sword has you think you're about to rescue Zelda, but then like something happens and you have to like go back around to all 3 areas again. So there's stuff that happens in every Zelda game, like A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds take you to Lorule and the Dark World. So there's always the thing that happens in the middle of the game that's like the big plot twist. I want it something like, I want the plot twist to be the game gets darker.
Yeah.
Like, want that to be the plot twist, like Ocarina of Time, to where you see the way everything looks, the way it's supposed to be, and you play through half the game, and everything's fine. You think you're about to win, but then something goes horribly wrong, and that's the plot twist.
Yeah.
And suddenly everything is destroyed. And then this is where they can add in the time travel, because I'm always a fan of time travel. Have you travel back in time to before the bad stuff happens? So like the bad stuff that happens is really horrible stuff. It's not just like Hylia being dried up like an Ocarina of Time, or the Goron's about to be fed to Volvagia. Like, the bad stuff that happens is super bad. So it's like, the king dies. Zelda, maybe she dies. Who knows? The King Zora dies. Like, whether, like, half of them can die and then the other half can just, like, be seriously injured. So then it's like you have to travel back in time to stop these each individual events from happening. So you'd have to go back in time and like stop Ganondorf as he's about to kill King Zora, or stop the monster as it's about to kill King Zora. So that would be mine. That way you get the dark moments, but you also get to save them. So you get to see what everything looks like as it's meant to be, which is what we didn't get in Breath of the Wild. Like, we did get to see it, but we didn't get to explore. And then
no. I really wanted to.
So instead of having everything destroyed from the very beginning, have everything peaceful or whatever. Sort of like Majora's Mask sort of did this, to where like the Goron place was completely covered in ice. But then once you saved it, it was spring. So it's like you get to see everything as it was destroyed, but then you get to see everything the way it's meant to be. And the other areas are kind of like this as well. Icona Valley you call is the stream or the river, whatever, to flow again. So there's all this stuff that's really cool. And then they could do it by implementing the time system. Instead of having the 3-day cycle, have the full 7-day cycle. And that's how it, that way you can keep doing. I don't know. I'm done. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good. I was listening. It's good.
it's all too much. I need to sit down and think about this, and then I can come back.
You need to call up your good friend Miyamoto and send him a text. Say, hey man,
Miyamoto,
I got an idea.
No. So my final question. You can ask one too, but I thought of this. If you could pick, I was gonna have the question be if you could pick any system to put another Zelda game on that was in that style. So like if you pick the N64, what would be a third N64 style Zelda game that you would want? Or if it's GameCube, if you could pick a third, not counting Four Swords, if you could pick like a Wind Waker or Twilight Princess-esque game, or even on the Wii and have it like maybe a tie-in to Skyward Sword, like which would you pick? But my full question that I'm going to change it to, I'm going to default to the Nintendo 64. If you could have a third Hero of Time game, because this ties in to the theory that we did in the discussion that we did earlier, what would it be? Would it be Link going to another village, or like another world, another area, another location? Would he be going back to Hyrule? Would he be back in Termina? What would it be? And what would the story be? Because Ganondorf, so taking nothing from the theory that we did. So you can't use any of the stuff in that theory. Just create your own thing.
Okay.
So Ganondorf is dealt with, presumably. He's sealed in the Twilight Realm. Majora's Mask is stopped. But there's a new enemy. Who's the enemy? What type of enemy is it? Is it Vaddie? Is it someone else that we don't know of?
Okay. So, Um, I think there would be a lot of political conflict after the resolution of Ganondorf's trial, and he's sent to the Twilight Realm. So he's the king of Gerudo, right?
Yeah.
So the Hylians are like, what the hell? You know, the Gerudo king is planning this coup. He's trying to overthrow the Hylian monarchy. That's pretty much an act of war. So the conflict becomes this conflict between the Hylians want to basically wage war on the Gerudo. The Gerudo really did nothing. It was actually just completely Ganondorf. So
they
he's kind of
the perverted carpenters, and that was it.
Yeah, that's.
But that doesn't happen in the adult.
No, that doesn't happen in the child timeline even. So they've just stayed in their own territory. They haven't really done anything. They're in a bad spot because Ganondorf acted on his own, and they're now basically at fault for this because he was their leader, right?
Yeah.
So Link kind of has to.
I thought of something very obvious with the Gerudo.
Go on. What did you think of, Jesse?
No, I'm going to see if you come up with it. In your story.
Okay. Well, my thought was then
Link
has to sort of calm the conflict between these two. Now there are people who I think take the Gerudo side. They're saying, "Hey, we shouldn't go to war with the Gerudo. This was just Ganondorf. They've done nothing wrong." And then there's this divide in Hyrule.
Mm-hmm.
So possibly the Zora have always been well aligned in Ocarina of Time with the Hylians. So they go to take the Hylian side. Maybe the Gorons take the Gerudo side because they think this act of initiating war is bad. And Darunia is already peeved because a little kid was insulted by a little kid who made him dance instead of having a real royal messenger sent to him previously. And there's a divide now, and Link has to help all the different races to realign all of these and sort of bring the peace back. So in a sense, the King of Hyrule is almost the bad guy. But you don't kill him in the end. You just have to sort of reunite everybody and just stop the conflict that's happening and growing in Hyrule. I just think that feels like what would happen, and so I can see Link playing a part in keeping the peace as opposed to just being a knight and going and killing all the Gerudo. So that's my thought.
Alright, here's my obvious thing. So all of the adult bosses.
Yes. They're not dead.
Nope. Phantom Ganon never exists.
Right.
Valvegia never brought back. Bongo Bongo may or may not have still broken out. We don't know.
Right.
Morpha was never created. Yeah.
Twinrova.
But yes, Twinrova was already going about her plans as Child Link because she kidnaps Nabooru, turns her into the Iron Knuckle.
Yeah.
So you still have Nabooru, or not Nabooru, but
yes.
Twinrova to worry about.
That's a good point. So,
and you need the Mirror Shield to stop her.
Yeah.
But to get to the desert, Link needs the boots. No. I guess
you need a horse.
Well, no, to get to to get through the desert, you need the hover boots.
Oh, to get from to cross the desert.
Yeah, or the long shot.
Yes.
I think you can use either.
You can warp as well.
But you need the boots to learn the song. Zelda sends you back in time, and you don't know, presumably, these songs. But Gaebora could still fly you there because he is there.
You'd know, Link would keep his memory, so he'd know the songs.
But he has to relearn the Song of Time.
That's just gameplay over story. That's just. I assume right. he remembered the Song of Time.
Even without the song.
Right.
Gabor could still fly you there because you do meet the owl.
That's true. And Link could probably get a new item set. We know he could get a hook shot, right? As young Link, because he got one in Termina. So my thought is probably fresh new item set and limit. So Hyrule Field would be the same, but new areas are now open gameplay wise.
Was Twinrova in the Oracle games?
Yes, they were kind of instigating behind the scenes to revive Ganon in the Oracle games. I believe is what they were going about doing.
Yeah. Yeah. An Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, Kome and Katake, or whatever.
Yeah.
Send Viren and General Onyx to cause chaos and light 2 of the 3 flames to resurrect Ganon. Yeah, so...
Yes.
Presumably, if there was a third Hero of Time game, it would most likely have to do with Link stopping Twinrova.
Yes, because they show up in the Downfall timeline because they weren't dealt with, I guess. And they are dead in the adult timeline, so they don't show up. And in the child timeline,
and it doesn't
not dealt with, so
it doesn't specify that it is a new Twinrova.
Right. So, and they're not the same as the Majora's Mask Kome Katake. Different Twinrova.
Yeah, and even if they do die.
Yeah.
So even if they do die, Ganondorf is always brought back or resurrected. So it could be a thing to where Twinrova is also resurrected.
Yes. True. So yeah, there's a lot of possibilities there on that.
Yeah, and it would make sense for them to still be alive because it says, in Ocarina of Time, Kome and Katake are a pair of 400-year-old twin witches. So they're already 400 years old, which presumably means they could live for a lot longer.
Right. So, yeah, I think they mentioned their age in when you sort of kill them. They mentioned that how old they are. Like, I'm too young to die. I'm only 400 years old or something along those lines. And then the other one lies about their age, saying, "Yeah, and I'm only this old." That's like, crazy. You're not younger than me. We're twins. So
I don't remember that. That's so crazy, though.
Oh, they start arguing and.
I assumed they were just close to like 100.
No, they're old.
Surrogate mothers of Ganondorf.
Yes, so not biological mothers. Who would be the biological mother?
Maybe individually, because I always assumed individually they were not the mother, but together, like when they combine, they are. Like that is the mother.
The mother is them, their combined form?
Yeah. That's what I always...
She becomes the younger woman somehow.
Yeah, because if they're 400 years old, they're way past, like, having a baby. Like, they're way past menopause.
For humans, but we don't know if it's the same for Gerudo, right?
Yeah. That's a weird topic. All right. Daniel, what is your final question? Because we never ask each other the questions.
So. That's true, we don't.
So this is going to end it.
Okay.
With my potato chips.
I didn't think of one. I should have thought of one. I was thinking too hard about
Losing Limo says nature finds a way.
Nature finds a way. Ain't that the truth? Okay, here's a thought for you. Whenever people talk about the timeline and the events of Ganondorf being sealed away, someone brings up his beard. Do you think that that is actually compelling evidence that years have gone by? Or is it not possible to just grow a beard in a matter of days?
Wait, what are you talking about?
It's just something I always find funny is in theory discussions when people talk about Twilight Princess, Ganondorf's execution, right?
Okay.
They say, no, it can't have been right after Ocarina of Time because he has a beard. So he had to have grown it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think about that evidence?
Two things. One, I don't think he was immediately taken care of.
But like not same day, obviously.
Yeah, like
these things take
it could
time.
have at least been like a few months later.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he would have had more than enough time to grow within the few months. But with the theory that we ended up with on the last one, it suggests that Link as an adult fought Ganondorf again. So maybe he was sealed and he broke out just as he does from the Sage's seal. Oh, so this is another thing. Put my chips down. So at the end of Ocarina of Time, he is sealed by the Sages and Zelda, and he still breaks out from that seal. And the child timeline, when he is sealed again, maybe he's just like he's sealed, but it's much weaker because there are none of the Sages. Excuse me. There are Zelda doesn't have her full power as she does in the adult timeline. So the seal is much weaker. So Ganondorf breaks out much faster. And then Link has to fight him again, which is the third quest that the theory suggests when Link fights him. Or maybe they don't seal him and they just lock him up inside Arbiter's Grounds.
Oh, maybe.
Like maybe Arbiter's Grounds, because it doesn't exist in Ocarina of Time, is built specifically for Ganondorf.
Yes.
And he breaks out of there, or he's just held there for his trial or something, but I imagine he would break out. And then adult Link. Because even in the real world, if you get a death sentence, it takes a long time. To get, like, you don't just get sentenced to death and then like a week later.
Yeah.
Like, it takes time in real life as well. So maybe he breaks out. That's the final battle that's depicted in the artwork and everything from Breath of the Wild, because you still need time for Ganondorf to gain possession of the Triforce of Power.
True.
Because in the child timeline, he wouldn't have it. But he does when he's being sealed to the Twilight Realm. Depending on where Link gets sent back in time to. If some people think it's like right after the events of the child timeline happens, and some think it's as soon as he meets Zelda, he's taken back to that moment. Which could be why, like, they could be playing on that, and that's why Link or Zelda says, like, I feel like I've known you or whatever for a long time. Because maybe, like, it's some time paradox there.
When you're sent back in time, you will be sent back with whatever, like, that cutscene is rendered in game, right? And so, whatever you had equipped as young Link, when you last were playing as young Link, that's what you'll have equipped when you're sent back in time. So if you have the Deku Shield, it'll cut back. That cutscene will show Link with the Deku Shield. If you have the Hylian Shield, it'll show him with the Hylian Shield.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So, do you think it's at the, like, sent back to after he's opened the door, or and like after the events of all the child stuff that happened in Ocarina of Time?
Well, I guess it would have to be in that sense.
Yeah. Or do you think it's just a quirk of the game design and it's not what they meant? Because that's
I think it would have to be like the adult, like after he gets the stuff. Because then that would also make sense for how Ganondorf has the Triforce of Power. So presumably he's already finished all of the events.
Yes. No, true. Like, and it just like it's a minor detail because really the only thing that you can change differently is the shield.
But then Zelda's still in the castle.
That's true.
She shouldn't be in the castle.
If she fled already.
But she still is in the castle if you go and visit her, even though the scene shows her fleeing.
Wait, actually, I guess I've never done it. So you could sneak back in and she'll be in there.
I think so.
Oh my goodness, I have to test this out. I have to test this. Guys, I wasn't sure if you can even. I don't even know if you can actually get back in there by legitimate means.
Because I used to do it for fun.
You just go back through
there? On the N64, yeah, I like just go through the puzzles again.
Really?
Mm-hmm. After you get to the 3 spiritual stones, I think you can still do it.
You're blowing my mind. That's where she went into hiding for 7 years, and Ganondorf just never thought to look there. He's like, she fled the castle. I gotta look somewhere outside the castle. She actually just like goes back around, back into the castle and hides in there. He just never checks.
Yeah, so that's a confusing question. But yeah, going back to his beard, either time in prison grew it out while he was in the Arbiter's grounds awaiting trial, or they weren't able, like they sealed him and then a few months passed or something, or a few months passed and he wasn't sealed. Either way, I don't think he was put in the Twilight Realm like as soon as Ocarina of Time ended. Because if you're talking about his beard, like if that's what people are worried about, they need to worry about why he looks so different in any other aspect.
Yeah, like different
like
clothes.
Why is he more muscular? Did he just go to the gym between Ocarina of Time and that cutscene? Or with the Triforce of Power, he just willed his beard to grow.
He just forced it out.
Yeah, he used his dwarf blood.
Yeah. No, it's really funny though. Some people really hold on to that as evidence, and I just thought that would be a funny way to have our last question.
Yeah. All right. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us on this podcast, submitting your questions. Please go check out the theory video that we did.
Yes.
A lot of work went into it from myself. Daniel went and recorded some much needed footage. Ilya, Larulian, all the other people who had a part in creating it. Thank you all. Please go check it out. Please watch our other podcasts so you can catch up on all of the great discussions. And if you want to have your question guaranteed to be on the podcast, patreon.com/GameOverJesse, where you can help all of us out. Yeah, any last words, Daniel?
Hasta la vista, baby. No, I've got nothing else to add.
Alright, well, with that, bye guys.
Bye, buddy.